Good afternoon and welcome to our LinkedIn content creation class. We are going to wait just a moment to give everyone the chance to join our class before we begin this afternoon. As we're waiting, there is a handout available for the class on our website, and you can refer to this for more information about LinkedIn and some of the content creation features that we'll be covering today. I'll be using my profile to demonstrate throughout the class, and we may share additional resources in the chat as well. Your microphone and camera have been muted and disabled for today's class. You will only hear library staff. You will not see staff, just our screens. And staff cannot see you. The chat is available for you to ask questions during the program. Again, welcome to the class. We will begin in just a moment. Once again, welcome to our LinkedIn content creation class. Today's class will be hosted by myself, Jamie, with the Plano Public Library. And before we begin, I do need to let you know about some ground rules that we've set up for our program. You will be muted during the class and we have your video blocked. You will only be seeing my screen during today's course. At the top of your screen, you can find an exit full screen option if you need to get to other things on your computer, including your LinkedIn profile. You are more than welcome to ask questions during today's program or request that I repeat a demonstration at any time. You should see an icon at the bottom of your screen that says chat, and if you click on that, it will open up the chat window. That chat is set to be seen by library staff only. And please note that any inappropriate comments will cause your immediate removal from the class. Questions during today's class may be answered in that chat box. They may be held until a break or the end of the program, or they may be asked at the time if they are pressing, but I will do my best to answer any questions that come up today. On our website, there is a course handout with additional information, and we will also share that link in the chat for you as well. A recording of the class will be available in a few days. So if you would like to watch today's class and then practice after getting that recording, that is an option as well. And finally, if you would like to follow along with your own LinkedIn account during today's class, you may, but please do keep in mind that it will be difficult for us to give one-on-one assistance or troubleshoot as part of the class. I will try to take it slow just in case you're practicing along with me today. All right, let's go ahead and get started. As I said, my name is Jamie, and as we get started, I do need to remind you that I am a librarian and not a business expert. The information I'm sharing with you today is designed to be an overview and to help connect you with additional resources that may be helpful in your professional activities. The goal for today's class is to explore the various content creation features available on LinkedIn. With that in mind, we do have some objectives today. First, we're going to outline some general tips for sharing content on LinkedIn that should apply to any content that you'll be creating. We'll also review some short form content options, including both of the pre-structured posts available through LinkedIn and original content that you may wish to create. We'll explore some visual content options such as photos or videos, and long form content options like articles. And finally, we'll look at hashtags, visibility options, and analytics to help you review how well your content is doing. Now, before we dive into that content creation, I do want to make a few disclaimers on today's content. Today, we'll be focusing on creating new content, not on sharing or reacting to existing content on LinkedIn. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can explore some of our previous LinkedIn courses. We will also be focusing on creating content through the LinkedIn desktop client. You can create this content on the mobile app as well, but you may find there are some restrictions in terms of the approach and the functionality if you choose to do that. Some features, like writing articles, are only available through that desktop client. And finally, before you create and share content, you do want to make sure you have details in place to make your profile visible and professional, including things like having your profile picture set up, having your headline in place, and having complete profile information like your work history and education, because that content that you are sharing will link back to that profile page as well. Let's start with some overall tips for sharing your content on LinkedIn. No matter what type of content you share, it's important to keep some best practices in mind. First, be authentic and intentional. Your content should match your voice, your brand, and your overall objectives on LinkedIn. And it's a good idea to base that content on your knowledge, industry expertise, or observations. Keep in mind, most users on the platform are going to be looking for information that either answers their questions or provides some new information, not something that's just focusing on selling a product or service. You also want to acknowledge engagement and encourage conversation. Remember, creating this content is about increasing your online presence and building your brand. And to do that, you do need to engage with your audience. You can answer questions that other users have for you, respond to their comments, even if it's just to thank them for sharing their perspective. And as you create more content, if you start to see that some things get more engagement than others, it's a good idea to focus your efforts there. You'll want to present a mix of content and elements. LinkedIn offers several content creation options, which we're going to look at in more detail during today's class. As you plan the type of content you want to share, think about having a mix of that short and long content and different elements like photos or links that can enhance your message. That variety is going to keep your content appealing, but it also makes it more fun for you as the creator to develop that content. You'll want to use appropriate tools to promote your content and ideas. LinkedIn is a professional networking site, so you can use those tools to help others engage with your content and increase your reach. Think about things like the @ function to mention people if appropriate, or using relevant hashtags associated with your content. And finally, make sure that you share consistently. While there aren't any hard and fast rules about how often you should post, creating new content consistently helps your followers build a relationship and habit around seeing your content. Look for that right balance between developing content and sharing. And if you're just getting started, think of something like a planning calendar to help you organize your approach. Do we have any questions before we dive into the specifics of content creation today?
Somebody was looking for the handout and couldn't find it through the link that we provided. So I told them that we will update it in case it's not there.
Yes, it is available on our website as well. So give me just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen share over to the internet browser here so we can pull up LinkedIn and our business content. And let me see if I can link to it pretty quickly. That's not the link that I want. Bear with me for just a moment. Under our programs and classes page, we should be able to pull up that handout link. And it is taking just a moment for our website to load, which is not uncommon. Okay, I will come back to that and drop a link in at the end of class with the link to that handout since it is not loading right away for me. And if you would like to drop your email in the chat as well, I can email it directly to you. But for now, let's go ahead and get started with our content creation options. So I'm going to use my profile to demonstrate what we're doing today. So we will go over to our LinkedIn page and sign in using whatever email and password you may have set up. Now, once I log in, I am automatically directed to that home page. At the very top of the page, before the content that is in my newsfeed, you'll see a box that says Start a Post with our content creation options. If you're just getting started with content creation, using one of these pre-structured posts might be a good fit. This type of content will follow specific formatting and content guidelines and is easily created by following this content creation wizard that's going to pop up for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start a Post, which will give me that content creation wizard. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is adding a document. Documents are a quick way to share information or ideas that may let you work with existing content that you have rather than trying to come up with something new. This type of post is best used for building your authority or expertise on a subject, like teaching a skill, or highlighting projects or work samples that you may have. And it can also be helpful for sharing content with visual elements like charts or data. Documents may also be useful in between your posts and articles as a quick way to just share additional information. Right now, LinkedIn will allow you to share PowerPoint, Word, or PDF files. So in order to share a document, once I click on Start a Post, I'm going to look for the little piece of paper icon, the third one in, that says Add a Document. I would click on that, and then it brings up the option to choose my file. So I can either choose that from my computer or upload it from somewhere else, like Google Drive. Once I choose the file that I want, I'll just use this file here. It's going to show me a little preview that this file is attached. I can add a document title. And once I've put that in, I would click done. And that is all that's required to create that document post. I'm just going to call this sample document just for a second. When I click done on here, if you wanted to add additional context, you do have the option to go ahead and type something about the document that you're posting right up above it. This is also where you can add in hashtags or additional information. And then once you click post, that post would be live. Now, just some tips to keep in mind with documents. With that title, you want a meaningful title that clearly shows what your document is about. Why do I want to click on this? What is it going to tell me that makes it worth reading? If possible, look for a cover page or preview that has an eye-catching text or visual on it that's going to make people stop and look and want to click through. You want to avoid documents that are too technical or full of very industry-specific language or jargon. And if it has large blocks of text, try and put in some visuals or charts just to break that up as well. It may also be helpful for you to include an option for other users to engage, like asking them a question about the content or encouraging them to share their opinion. And finally, be mindful of the length of the document that you are posting. In general, most users will recommend something between 8 and 25 pages of content to share information without being too overwhelming. I'm going to close out of that. If you at any point decide it's not quite the post you want to make, you need to come back to it later, you can close out, hit discard, and that will delete the draft of the post and bring you right back to that home page. Another option that you have on LinkedIn is celebrating an occasion. And this is a really quick way to highlight new or notable events as an update to your network. You can choose from one of 5 categories: welcoming someone to your team, giving kudos, a project launch, a work anniversary, or a new position. So just like with a document, I would click on Start a Post. And this time I'm going to look for the little award seal, which I hover over that, and it says Celebrate an Occasion. And when I click on that, it does give me those categories that we just mentioned as far as what type of occasion I want to celebrate. So let's say I'm celebrating a career milestone. I can choose to add a photo of my own or choose one from the ones that LinkedIn has provided. Once I've done that, I would click Next. I can fill out any information. LinkedIn provides me with some recommended text that I can put in, but I can go in, delete this, adjust it, add anything that I wanted to. Once it looks the way I want, I would just click Post to finalize that post as well. We're going to close right out of that, discard. Another option is to share something like hiring. And this is a little bit different than celebrating an occasion because it relates specifically to your business. If you have your own business that you'd like to share, or if you'd like to share on behalf of your current employer, that may be an option. When I click on Start a Post and use the little briefcase, I can share that I'm hiring. Now you'll see for me that my company is already posting jobs on LinkedIn, so I can't actually share on behalf of them. If I was self-employed and listed my own company, I would have the option to attach a job to that company, or if my employer's settings were different, I could see the employer's jobs and share them. Just like with the other posts, you can add some descriptive information and hashtags in, and then you would just hit Post to finalize. Another option would be to find an expert on LinkedIn. And this is a useful feature for connecting with other users who can help with a particular subject or skill need that you have. So maybe you're looking for some expertise, but you don't necessarily need to hire for a position. Currently, you can search for experts in accounting, coaching, mentoring, design, marketing, or other needs. So once again, I would go ahead and click on Start a Post. And this time I'm going to use those 3 little dots to see some more options. And this gives me the full range of options available in those pre-structured posts. So for this one, I would choose Find an Expert, then choose the category that I wanted help with. Let's say I'm looking for a coach. I could select the subcategory, and these will populate automatically based on whatever type of expert I'm looking for. So maybe I'm looking for somebody to help with resumes. I can tell them the location, which will automatically pull from your profile. But if you need it to be in a different location, you can change that information as well. And then you would just share some information about your specific need. If, on the other hand, you have a set of skills that you would like to share with others, offering help may be a better fit for you. The Offer Help feature lets you share with your network that you can offer assistance in particular skills or areas. When I click on Offer Help, you'll see that there are some choices here. You've got referrals, career coaching, resume reviews, introductions, volunteer work, general help. And if none of those really fit, you can also choose Other. Once you have selected the type of help that you can offer, let's say I'm really good at resume reviews. I can click Done, and you'll see that this post is going to show that I'm offering help with this particular skill or subject. And that hashtag is searchable on LinkedIn so that other users can see it. This also gives you the opportunity to add in some more information about what specifically you can share with your network to give them some context for why they should reach out to you for those skills. We'll go ahead and close that. We've got a couple of other pre-structured posts to look at. And the next one is going to be creating an event. This type of post lets you share details about online and offline events that may be of interest to your network. So even if you aren't hosting your event on LinkedIn, because there are certain criteria for them to allow you to host on their platform, you can still share details about events that are going on. So to create an event, I could go under Create Post and find event that way, but you'll also see from that main box, there is a little button right here that says event. I can also click on that to get right to the Create an Event option. If you'd like, you can choose a cover image to just make it pretty when it's posting. That can make that post more visually appealing. And then you're going to start putting in the information about your event. And it's going to look different depending on what type of event you choose. So you'll start by having either an online or in-person event. And with online events, you're going to enter some things like your event format. For instance, is it a LinkedIn event or is it something else? I could share an external link if I was doing something like a Zoom meeting. You're going to give your event a name, the time, so it shows the right time zone when it starts. If it needs an end date and time, you can put that on there. You'll have space to put your link in, and then a description of what you are doing. If your speakers happen to be part of your LinkedIn network, you can also add them to that event as well. Let me scroll back up to the top. With an in-person event, it's going to look very similar, but there will be some slightly different information. I'm still going to put in my event name, the time, but then instead of an external link, I'm going to put in the address, venue. I can add a link for, say, the website, telling you more about the event, but I still need to put in that actual physical address where this program is going to take place. Still put in the description, and I can still share information about the speakers. Just like every other post that we've done that's pre-structured, once you've put in all of that information, this little next button on the bottom is going to turn blue. You'll click next. You'll have the opportunity to add any last information that you want to put in before you finalize that post and share it with your network. Are there any questions about those pre-structured post options?
We do not have any questions so far.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is some options if you'd like a little more creativity in your content. So besides the pre-structured posts that we've explored so far, you can also post and share original content. Original posts can be up to 3,000 characters long, and they're best used in situations that generate a quick response, like starting a conversation, asking for ideas or advice, or responding to current trends or events. So to do that, I would click on Start a Post, and instead of choosing one of the options, I would start typing my content right here in the box that says, what do you want to talk about? And maybe I want to share that the library is awesome. I would type whatever I wanted to share, add that information in. I could add hashtags if I wanted to, which we'll cover a little bit later in today's class, and then click Post to finalize. If you're familiar with other social media like Facebook, it's basically the same thing, just in a professional context. You're sharing your information and ideas, and then those posts will show up in the news feed that you can see where others have shared their information. As you write your own posts, keep in mind that you want to avoid having really big blocks of text or content. You want to try and keep things visually appealing by using lists, adding emojis instead of bullet points for extra visual appeal, and avoid linking to too much content, because that's going to take people away from your profile and your ideas and send them off into other websites or information. If you have a lot of content or links to share, an article or other type of post might be a more effective way for you to do that. Now, let's say that you want to do something that's a little bit different. You don't want to be so text heavy. You'd like to do something more visual. You do have those options as well. LinkedIn offers several visual content creation options, including photos, videos, and polls. So we're going to start by sharing a photo, because a photo is a great way for you to share a short or impactful story, an infographic or educational content, or even a way for you to share an announcement or highlight just in a really visual form. Although you can always post a photo with additional text. The most impactful photos that you post on LinkedIn will be those that don't require that additional context. You get everything that you need just by looking at the photo. Now, please keep in mind your editing options are going to be somewhat different if you post a single photo versus multiple photos. Your single photos will give you a lot more options. You can crop them, filter them, edit them. But for those multiple photo posts, you will only be able to customize a little bit of the layout. You won't be able to edit the individual photos. All of the photo-based post options do include the option for you to tag other LinkedIn users as well. So if I was sharing a photo, I would just click on this button that says photo, and it's going to pop up and ask me to add an image. And I would browse to the file that I wanted to include. You can include up to 9 images in a post. Once I click open, that photo will pop up for me to be able to use. If I needed to edit, I would click on the edit button, and that's where you'll see the different options like zooming, cropping, applying filters, etc. Let's go back for just a moment. You can also add tags in or alternative text if you are working with accessibility to make sure that it is accessible to users with perhaps a visual impairment or screen readers. The alternate text is basically what the screen reader will say to describe your photo when they come to that on the page. Once you've made all the changes that you need to, you'll just hit done, and you will see this looks very familiar to other posts. I can add in additional information, hashtags, before clicking post to finalize. If I decide I don't like the photo or I need to make changes, I can use the little X there to take it off completely, or the little pencil icon to get back to that editing menu. Sharing a video is going to work very similarly. It's just a different format for sharing information. Videos are more interactive because they allow you to share that information without requiring your network to read through the text or try and figure out what your charts mean. You can share your perspective and information and combine that information with visuals. Videos can also be great for explaining more complicated points in a clear, easily understood format. The difference here is we would click on video to access that video option. We would pull up the video if we had one available and go through the editing options there. Because it does sometimes take a while to get the video to load correctly, I'm not going to upload a video today, but it will walk you through the process just the same. Each button will light up. When you click done, you'll have that last option to add additional text and hashtags before you click post to finalize. Videos will give you the option to include a caption file with them if you would like, which can make that content more accessible as well. Now, there are a few best practices to keep in mind with sharing videos. If possible, you do want to include subtitles or captions to keep that content accessible for more users. You also want to make sure that you're adapting that video content to your specific purpose. A video introducing a new product might look different than a video that highlights a recent project. On LinkedIn, you will find that most videos will be between 30 seconds and 2 minutes long. So you really want to hook viewers quickly with those visuals and your opening lines and get quickly to your main content. Remember, if you are choosing to use a video, it's all about showing your content. So make sure what's appearing on the screen matches any words that you are sharing as well. And finally, let's talk about creating polls. Polls are a great way to combine ideas or questions in a short post with a more visual appeal of something that you can look at quickly. And they allow users a way to quickly engage with your content. It has a built-in feature to say, engage with me, tell me what you think. When I click on start a post, there is a little kind of bar graph at the bottom, and that is the create a poll option. When I click on that, it's going to pop up that content creation wizard. And I'm going to start by putting in a question. And I will just use LinkedIn's suggestion here to show you what it looks like. And say, how do you get to work? Then I'm going to need to put in the options that people can choose from. You have to have at least 2 choices, but you can't have more than 4. So when you are building a poll, you have to be really strategic about what you want to put in as those choices. And I'll just put 3 in for this one. Then you're going to choose how long your poll is going to run for. Maybe you want it to be available for a week, maybe just a day. You'll choose the time and then click done. And you will see that poll shows up as buttons that people can click on when they see your post. You'll also be able to see how many votes, how much time's left, and view the overall results. Just like the other posts, you can add in additional information at the top to provide some context or information and add in hashtags before clicking post to finalize. If you decide the poll isn't what you need, you can click on that X to remove it or the pencil icon to edit it before you finalize that post. Do we have any questions about those visual content creation options?
No, we don't have any so far.
Okay, so the final type of content creation that we're going to look at before we get into analytics is publishing an article. And this will give you the most freedom and formatting options with your content. An article is a longer piece that is best for more reflective content. And it really does give you the opportunity to clearly articulate your thoughts or perspectives, share insights or expertise, and build your brand. Within that article platform, you can also include images, media, and links to additional information. Articles also include the option to share your draft with other people prior to posting if you'd like to get a second opinion. So instead of clicking Start a Post, for this one, I would choose the button that says Write Article. It's going to bring up a completely different screen. You'll see here that we have a lot more publishing options. I'm going to need to put in a headline for my article. I can add in a cover image if I'd like, and then I'm going to write the actual content. You can use that menu across the top to do things like bold or italicize your text, add in a numbered or bulleted list, put in a quote, or even link to additional information. This publishing menu is also where you can share your draft with others as well. And I'm going to go over to my drafts just so you can see one that I started to give you an idea of what this looks like in practice. So I've got the headline in there, I've got a cover image, and you'll see I've been able to put in some headings, bulleted lists, and links as part of the content. Once everything is the way that you'd like it to be, you would just click Publish to publish that article. Now, there are a few best practices to keep in mind when you are writing articles. You want to make sure that you include a strong headline because that's what people are going to see first. That's what's going to grab their attention. You might take a bold stand or a position in a debate or provide a sneak peek of what the content is going to be, like saying that it's a how-to or a top 10 list. It just gives people an idea of what they're getting when they read that article. If you choose to write an article, you also want to commit to the length. Readers want to see enough relevant content to justify actually clicking through to that article. The recommended length is going to be between 500 and 1,000 words. Make use of those formatting options like headlines, lists, links, and images to help break up that content and make it more engaging and accessible while you're writing. Are there any questions about writing articles?
Not articles, but someone is asking if you're able to share your podcast.
I don't know of a way to easily share your podcast without sharing a link because the options are limited to photo and video, and the audio file isn't going to pull up in the same way. So if you did want to link to your podcast, I would recommend adding it as some kind of content that you could click through to. Okay. Are there any other questions before we move on?
No, thank you.
Perfect. Let's talk a little bit about hashtags. Hashtags are one way to increase the visibility of your content. They help bring together related content and can make it easier for users to find content that matches their needs or interests. On LinkedIn, hashtags are going to be searchable. They can also be followed, which will bring that relevant content right into your news feed. You can use them to establish your credibility or expertise, to reach users who value your insights, or even start conversations about shared interests. You'll want to choose hashtags relevant to your specific content when you're posting. Now, there are 3 ways for you to add in hashtags. You can add them to any post or article that you are writing just by clicking the pound sign and then typing your word or words. And you will see as I'm typing, LinkedIn provides some suggestions for me for what I might want to put in based on what I'm typing. I can also choose add hashtag, which will put in the little hashtag symbol for me. And then I can type in the word that I want to. You will also notice if when you're writing your content that LinkedIn will suggest hashtags that might be relevant for you as well. So if I was typing all about leadership, LinkedIn is going to start putting suggestions for hashtags I might want to include with this post. I can just click on one of those to add it into my post as well. A couple of best practices to keep in mind with hashtags. First, make sure that you use them correctly. Your hashtag symbol should be included before the keyword or phrase, and those keywords or phrases will not include spaces, punctuation, symbols, or emojis. It's just going to be letters all run together. Experts recommend using no more than 3 hashtags per post, so you want to choose carefully. You want to make sure you're choosing the ones that have the most impact without being overwhelming on your content. And you might want to consider a range of broad and more specific hashtags to increase exposure of your content to relevant users. And finally, you can follow hashtags to easily find content you care about or see what others are posting about the topic. Let me back out of that draft and see if anything in my news feed. You'll see as I'm looking at other people's posts, those hashtags pop up as searchable. So I can click on any of them and see other posts with the same hashtag. If it's something that I'm interested in, I could choose to follow it to get more of that content into my feed. Another option to keep in mind with your engagement is going to be your visibility options. LinkedIn does allow different options to control how visible your content is. One way is determining if you want your profile to include connections or just followers. Now, to give you a little bit of an idea of what the difference between those things are, connections are relationships that you have on LinkedIn, and they're generally based on knowing the other person and some level of mutual trust. When you connect with users, you will see their content on your homepage and they will see your content on their homepage. So it's a reciprocal relationship. Followers, on the other hand, are LinkedIn users who can see your content, but you don't see theirs. This is a way for you to share your content, but keep your newsfeed clear of unnecessary clutter that you don't want to see. And combined with your privacy settings, it can also help you keep some information about your profile private. If you wanted to switch to a follow option, you're going to need to access your profile to do that. So I'm just going to click on where it says me in the top corner. And I'm going to choose settings and privacy. And that's going to open up that settings and privacy window. I'm going to choose the option for visibility. And then I'm going to scroll down until I see visibility of my LinkedIn activity. And right here where it says followers, I would click on that. And I would just switch from no to yes to make follow primary if I wanted a follow button to show up instead of a connect button. Now, enabling that follow button as your primary option doesn't mean that LinkedIn users can't connect with you. You still have access to that option by choosing more from any profile with a follow button. You can also choose to remove the ability to comment on your content or report comments that are inappropriate or offensive. I'm going to go back to my homepage to get back to the post features. If I'm starting a new post, I can choose to disable comments right away. In the bottom corner, there's a little bubble here that says anyone. When I click on that, that's what brings up my comment options. So right now it's set to anyone can comment. I can choose that to be only my connections can comment, or I can choose to make that no one can comment. Once I've made whatever changes I need to, I would just hit save to finalize, and that would apply the changes to the post before I posted it. Now you may find that you want to disable comments on an existing post. To do that, you are going to need to access your activity, which is pretty easy to do from your profile. And I'm just going to pull up all of my activity so we have some options to look at. And then I would find the post that I wanted to change. I would look for those 3 dots in the top corner. And I would go down to who can comment on this post. And that brings up the same options as if I was doing a brand new post. I would make the changes, hit save, and that would apply those changes. For articles, you will need to disable the comments after you have published that article. You'll just click on the comment settings at the bottom, choose disable comments, and then save the changes, much like we did here with a post. Now, let's say that you found an inappropriate or offensive comment as part of your news feed. That is an option for you to report as well. And I am going to scroll for just a minute to find a comment. I would look for the comment that I did not want to have. I'd go to those 3 dots on the side of it and click on that. And that would give you the option to block a user if you were having issues with that particular user, as well as report the comment. A pop-up window is going to come up that will ask you to give some more information about why that comment is inappropriate. You'll fill that out and it will pass it along to LinkedIn. You can also access additional content creation features and options by enabling something called creator mode in your profile. It will make a few changes to your profile, including automatically changing your connect button to a follow button, displaying your featured topics as hashtags, and highlighting your original content by moving your featured and activity sections to the very top of your profile when someone clicks on your pages. It also makes you eligible to be featured as a suggested creator on LinkedIn and gives you access to tools like LinkedIn Live Video and LinkedIn Newsletter if you meet the access criteria. Now, if you wanted to enable that creator mode, you would just open up your profile. And you are going to scroll down to resources. And here you'll see there's an option for creator mode. Mine is currently turned off. I would just click on that. It gives me some information to review. I would hit next. I can choose my 5 topics. It will tell me which tools will be available to me, and I would click done to go ahead and finalize that. If at any time I didn't want access to those features, I wanted to revert my profile back to how it was, I would just reverse those steps all over again to turn creator mode back off again. Are there any questions about those content creation tools with hashtags and creator mode and things like that?
No, we don't have any questions so far.
Okay, the last thing I'd like to talk about today is performance and analytics. So once you've created your content, that performance and analytics can help you measure how successful it's been on LinkedIn. LinkedIn includes, yes, absolutely.
There's one question just came for creator mode. What's the advantage and disadvantage of creator mode?
If you are someone who is going to be creating a lot of content and you want access to newsletters, videos, and really highlighting that content, that's where creator mode is going to be to your advantage, because the focus is going to be on the content that you're sharing more than your specific profile. And it will give you some of those additional options to, do a live video and interact with your network that way. However, if you're someone who's using it primarily as a job search or networking tool, it's probably not going to be as beneficial to you because your profile information, your work history, and that will be buried underneath that content. And it's not as intuitive for people to connect with you and build those connections as well. So it's really just a difference of where you want your focus to be. If your focus is on building those personal connections, or if your focus is on building your brand, if that makes sense.
We have one more question. I know that teenagers 16 plus age can get on LinkedIn. Do you recommend it? What safety procedures can they take to protect them a bit more from typical social media concerns?
The biggest thing with LinkedIn to keep in mind is the type of jobs and networks that you want to build. It is a professional social networking tool for careers, but it does not cover all careers. So depending on what they are interested in studying and going into as a career field, it may be more or less beneficial for them to have a profile. It does give them an option to start building an online portfolio, but until you have some of that work history or work samples to share, there's not a lot of benefit to building that profile because there's not a lot of ways for you to engage. As far as the specifics of keeping safe on the site, I would recommend looking at the privacy settings and accessibility of the profile as part of that, which is going to be a little bit beyond what we're doing in today's class, but something that we could talk about more in if you were to set up, say, a book a librarian session that we could do some more one-on-one questions with.
I have one more question.
Mhm.
If I have a personal and a business profile, can I have my personal without creator mode and my business with creator mode?
I want to say yes, but I would need to do some more research just to double check. I have not spent a lot of time with creator mode that I would want to go in and take a look at those options before I said for sure one way or the other.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so for performance and analytics, the first thing we're going to look at is your profile analytics. And these are numbers that let you see how many people are engaging with your profile and content. On your homepage, and let me drop back over to my homepage, you will see a little box over here on the left-hand side that does have some basic information. You can see how many people have viewed your profile in the last 90 days and the impressions of your most recent post. You can also see this information from your profile when you are on that profile page. LinkedIn catches up to me. You've got that analytics box that says private to you, where you can see those profile views, post impressions, and also search appearances. I can click on any of those headings to get some more information. So I can see people have worked at the city of Plano, creative writing, etc., how they found me. Not a ton of details without subscribing to LinkedIn Premium, but it does give you an idea of how much traffic your profile is getting. You can also see some additional information from your activity dashboard. So let me go back a page here and scroll down to my activity. I can see how many people are following me. And when I click on show all activity, I can see some additional information for each post as well. Immediately underneath any of the posts in your feed, you should see the number of impressions that you have. You will also see the reactions that you've gotten to that article. You can also see if people have shared. And let me go back so it's looking at just my content. And you can see the number of comments on a post as well. If you wanted to see additional information on any of those, you can click on View Analytics for some additional information about that post. The analytics available are going to depend on your type of content. So posts will give you things like engagements or the total number of reactions, comments, and shares that you have, the estimated number of times your content has displayed on the screen for other people to see, and kind of demographics about who has looked at those posts. Articles will have things similar, but will also include things like views, which will be the specific number of times a user actually clicked through to that article. And then videos will have statistics related to the highest number of viewers watching your live content, minutes viewed of your content, the number of unique people looking at that content, etc. Please keep in mind LinkedIn does have specific rules about when and for how long your analytics are available, and you can find more information about that from their help page. Now, one thing to keep in mind that you may wish to consider while you evaluate the success of your content that goes beyond the analytics that we're looking at here. It's going to be the quality of conversations you're starting and contributing to. Think about what type of interaction you're getting from your followers. Numbers are helpful and they provide context, but they don't always give you a complete picture of how your content is resonating. So think about if you're getting good, meaningful conversations from people, if you're making new connections, if you're seeing more interest or more traffic to your website because of links that you've shared, things like that. Are there any last questions before we wrap up today?
We have a question. Is searching for a job the basic reason people do LinkedIn Premium?
LinkedIn Premium does give some additional job search options. It gives you some more ability to understand who's looking at your profile and what kind of engagement you're having. For most people, you can accomplish what you want to on LinkedIn in terms of building your network, searching for jobs, sharing content without needing access to those premium features. It's really just a matter of opinion for how much you want to invest in that profile.
Thank you.
No problem. That does bring us to the end of today's class. I'm going to switch my screen back over to our slideshow for just a second so we can talk about some additional resources that are available to you beyond today's program. If you have a short question that you'd like library staff to answer, whether that's related to LinkedIn or something else altogether, you can submit it online at any time using our Ask a Librarian service. A librarian will usually respond within 48 hours with that information that you need. If you would like more one-on-one help from one of our librarians, about 30 minutes of dedicated time with the chance to go over your specific questions, you can complete a Book a Librarian appointment request. Each of those sessions will be tailored to your specific needs and will be compatible with your schedule. Our blog, Plano Library Learns, features book lists, program recordings, and other useful information as well. And you can explore more business and career resources from the associated tab there on the blog. You might find the Grow Your Business with Adobe Creative Cloud series useful as you start developing your content as well, which is available on our YouTube channel with all of our past program recordings. To see more upcoming business and career programs, please do check out our program calendar on our website. You can also view the library program schedule for additional information about upcoming classes. Look for the page for business and career to see both our virtual and in-person offerings. And do remember, you will receive a link to the recording from today's class in a few days, and you can access our course handouts online at any time as well. My email is available there on the screen. If you have any additional questions that were not covered in today's class, please feel free to reach out at any time. Are there any final questions before we end today?
We don't have any questions now.
Wonderful. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Please do take a moment as you exit the program today to take our program survey, which should pop up when you close the program window. We do value your feedback and use it to help determine future programs. Thank you for joining us.